So basically, okay, I got it. Hi, everybody. So for those of you who don't know, I am Danielle Efres. I'm one of the agents at the office and on the leadership committee with Ron. So thank you for tuning into our training. So they wanted me to go over how to hunt for new business through referrals. So, basically what I always do, and I find that that's my specialty, I constantly keep in contact with all of my clients. I use a simple Friday as a way for me to get my foot in the door and start talking to people. A simple text, happy Friday, I hope you're ready for the weekend, automatically starts a conversation. Every time I speak to people, it's not necessarily me discussing real estate, but somehow real estate comes up. During the snowstorm, I text about 75 clients. Took me maybe 15 minutes. I sent the generic message, copy and paste. Hi, how are you? I wanted to see if you guys are doing okay. Let me know if you need anything. What that does is always keep you top of mind. I've managed to build a really great business simply just with referrals. Obviously, everybody does things different, and I do believe it's a variety of things. You want to get some marketing in there, but the best way to get business is from the people that already know and love you. And when they know that you care, they automatically want to help you. So those are a lot of things that I find that I do, and my systems probably are a little different. Ron is someone who very much does the cold calling thing, and he does amazing with the calls. I'm actually learning and taking notes from Ron. I think we all kind of learn from each other in this business. And that's what's so great about these trainings, because everybody brings something different to the table. And if you take little pieces from each thing and kind of come up with your own concoction of what makes you comfortable, your success pretty much is given. It's just a repetitive thing that you want to do over and over. Ron, do you kind of want to jump in and give us a little bit about what you were doing, and maybe we can go back and forth and see if anyone has any questions? I know Christina wanted us to kind of freelance this a bit.
Definitely. Well, I had a question for you, actually, because I wanted to
Yeah.
kind of stick on what you were saying there. It sounded amazing. So what do you, like, you texted 75 people during the snowstorm. Like,
Yes.
who are the people you texted, and what did you say to them?
So they're all past clients. Anybody I've rented an apartment to, I don't care if it was a $1,300 apartment 6 years ago, I'm going to call you. It's anybody that I've closed with. I stay in close contact with them. And again, just a simple text. I used to call people, but I found out a lot of times people either don't answer the phone, they won't call you back. Everybody's on the go, just like us. Realtors are always busy doing 100 things. A simple text, they'll see it. If they don't get back to you that minute, they kind of feel like they need to reply to a text. It's right in your face. Sometimes a phone call, a voicemail might be overlooked. So it was just the simple, hey, how are you? We got a lot of snow. I hope you guys are okay. Let me know if you need anything. I'm just thinking about you. And then you throw like a little emoji of like a snowman or a snowflake, something cute. But it was generic, so I could copy and paste it to everybody. And then throughout the day, bing, bing, every few minutes, every few hours, people would start to answer me. And the response is always, oh my God, I love you so much. Thank you for always thinking of us. That's really so sweet of you. No, we don't need anything. We're okay. And then they start telling you, what they've been up to. What are they doing? How are you? And, maybe you find out little things. One of my clients is now having a baby. And maybe at some point now they're going to be looking for a bigger house, or that's kind of the conversation. And again, same thing with a Friday, a simple Friday. I'll just shoot 75 people. Happy Friday. I hope you had a great week. I hope the weekend is going to be a little less cold. Again, conversation starter. I usually try to do that every, I don't know, maybe 2-3 weeks. So I pretty much speak to every past client once or twice a month without fail. And they know it. I actually once didn't have a second, and my client was like, oh my God, you didn't call us this week, or you didn't text us. What happened? They get used to it. So there's no way for them to forget about you, because you're constantly looking for an excuse to reach out to them. And nobody does that. Not anybody has ever told you, have a good weekend, happy Friday, the sun is shining. Mark knows I use all these weird excuses, but it works.
How many people do you have in your past client database, or how many people do you keep in touch with like this?
Literally 75 people, everyone that I've ever, give or take, sometimes as I go through clients and you get more and more, sometimes it's harder. So I try to make sure just to go through my phone and see exactly. But yes, I try to keep up with at least 75 to 100 people on a consistent basis. Even landlords that I've spoken to that maybe didn't even give me business, they're just in my list and I'll reach out to them also. In doing that, you eventually will generate all kinds of leads.
Well, I love this. I think it's so important. And, I think the funny part is, like, I would never do that. I would never think to do that. I just, and the point is, it's like everyone has different business models. And it's
Exactly.
whatever
Yes.
works for you. You
Right.
work your database. I kind of work more of just cold people, wherever I get them from, and I've done it for 8 years. So I've built up such a pipeline of people that they're not cold any longer. They're
Clearly,
warm.
44 million. You're doing something there, Ron.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean, that was a combination of a lot of different things in terms of the team and
exactly.
whatnot.
Right.
But just in terms of how to hunt, I don't know if we're talking for listings or buyers or what, but I think it just really boils down to your systems. And
Right.
what I took out of what you just said is you have systems, and that's a little system, and you could always improve it and get better, but at least you're starting from somewhere.
Right.
And that's what I try to do with how I hunt. I mean, I just try to kind of find out who is my audience, who's my potential audience, and then reach out to them. And then you have to, everybody's a little bit different. What's the message that I want to bring to this person? And it always starts with a script, and it always starts with me introducing myself, and then it starts with the reason for the, I mean, then it goes into the reason for the call, and then I ask a question and then see how their response is. So, and that's pretty much how I hunt. I mean, it's always a matter of we're just talking to people like you are, looking for that person who does have something to do. And it doesn't have to be now. It could be 3, 6 months, a year, 2 years.
Exactly.
I don't mind, because I'm going to keep in touch with them. And so I think that's all we have to do. We have to get the numbers in our favor, and find out who do we want to target. Whoever it is, just got to find out who that is. If you want to target attorneys, mortgage people, you want to target owners of some kind, past clients, whatever it is, we just have to find that out, and then reach out to them and ask a lot of questions, like you said, see how you can help them, and then you're gonna get business in response to that. But I definitely want to open it up to everybody. What questions do you guys have about trying to find leads or things of that nature?
Is there anything anybody's been doing that they would like to share? I mean, that's always the great thing I find. And we all learn so much from each other. And clearly, everybody builds a strong business with all different tactics. Even if you own a restaurant, whatever it is, you want to introduce your restaurant to people. It's no different than real estate. I think sometimes we forget that it's not an overnight success. Even if you own a restaurant, you're not going to make money in the first 2 days. It's getting your restaurant out there, getting people to know who you are, trying the food. Kind of like real estate. People need to know who you are, that you care about them, that you're an authentic realtor. And that's where all these connections come into play. Anybody doing something besides some of the things that we've talked about?
Or any questions for us?
Yeah.
So I'll ask. Hi, my name is
Hi.
Allie. How are you? I
Good.
always ask this same thing because I am a new agent. And although I'm not new in the world of business, see, this is where my whole thing comes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a new agent and I have to find my happy place, right? The place that I am the most successful will be the place I'm most comfortable in, or maybe not, maybe the place I'm most uncomfortable in. But I know that I've been trying to cold call and it makes me sick. I actually get it makes me sick. I get like the stomach ache. I have spoken to thousands of people in my life. I've stood in front of 3,000 people. I've arranged gatherings for thousands, and yet I have to make one silly phone call and it makes me sick and I can't seem to get past it. So I know that that is one of the key ways that a new person really starts to generate business. But I'm much more of a person like you, Danielle, where I have a relationship with a lot of people in my contact list, and I'm more comfortable with texting somebody, but those are not new people. Those are people that I've known throughout the years. And I guess my question is, as a new person, do you follow more of a scripted thing where this is how you start your business? Or do you just, I don't know, flounder like me till you can find your place? I'm not really sure, like right now, where I'm at.
I'll answer that. I'll jump in on that one. So the most important thing, as I always say to my team and anybody I speak with, is mindset. So what is your mindset when you're calling these people that you're getting sick? So tell me, what are you thinking before you call them, and why is it so frustrating, do you think?
So the big thing is about bothering people. That's a big one for me. Like, I feel like I'm bothering people. Like, who wants to hear at 9 o'clock in the morning, who wants to hear from a person looking to buy, wanting to get you to buy or sell real estate? So I have a hard time with that piece of it. And then, of course, I don't know if the rejection piece is so bad. Like, they hang up the phone, you kind of feel like, oh, but I don't know if that's it. I think it's more the taking, somebody rushes for the phone and then they find out it's you on the other line, on the other end. I think that must be what it is. It does though. I don't know.
Well, like I said, our mindset is gonna either, is gonna control our destiny. So you have to look at, your mindset of what's gonna help me accomplish my goal. And if I'm reaching out to people, I have to understand my value proposition. So what is my value proposition? If I, you know what they say about assuming, right? Obviously. So we never want to assume that the person I'm calling is going to be frustrated, because I'll tell you right now, it's not reality. It's called fear, right? False events appearing real. You're in your own mind. You're making up stories, as I tell people, and we're crazy, right? We're all nuts. We all think that we know everything about everything, and we know exactly what they're gonna say. And I do it to myself. Trust me, I'm not perfect. I want to call agents and call recruits and try to get them in our office, and I assume what they're gonna say sometimes, and I'm like, oh, I got a block. But I have to get over that. I know what I have to do. I just have to realize my value proposition when I'm calling these people. And when I was, before we couldn't call neighborhoods, when I was just calling neighborhoods, I'm calling to offer our services. I'm calling to check in with the neighborhood, see who's looking to potentially sell their home. And I know that when I call, I'm doing them a favor. Even if they yelled at me, I don't care, because I'm doing them a favor. I'm raising the values in the area, and I'm going to find people that I can service and help. And I'm trying to help people. So if I come across if I really and I always say this too, the most important person you have to sell is yourself. Right now, you're not sold on your value proposition, the value you're bringing to people. And so that's what you got to do. Grab a piece of paper and a pen, start writing down all the value you provide as a real estate agent. And even if you're new, it's all right, because you have all the value of the office and all the value of the agents in the office behind you. So you have to come with that mindset, a positive mindset of I'm trying to help you, almost like Danielle does. She's coming from a value proposition of I just want to keep in touch with you, so that's what I would say. I think a lot of the call reluctance comes from the fact that we don't feel confident in the value we're bringing. But we all, I can bring.
Did you always feel that way? Like, because I do know that there are some people that really have no problem with that at all. They're just like, well, I'm making a phone call. It works. It doesn't, move on. And I know that's a personality thing too. Like, I don't know why I can't seem to I don't know. And I've made quite a number of phone calls. You would think by now I would get where I'm not like that. I'll tell you.
Well, I got something.
I think.
I got something for you. So, and I would know I was very scared the first time I was calling. Obviously, I think every normal person. I'm not a psycho, but when you said that, I thought of knowledge equals confidence, ignorance equals fear. Right? So you don't know what to say to the person, so you're worried and you're scared. If you knew that there was nothing that that person on the other end could say to you that you wouldn't know how to have an answer for and continue to carry the conversation forward, you would do it. You'd pick up the phone and be like, well, this is easy. I know exactly what they're going to say. Yes, no, maybe. And then if they say yes, I'm going to say this. And if they say no, I'm going to say this. And if they say maybe, I'm going to say this. And I've practiced and I've role played and I've written out my scripts and I'm excited to go out and tackle the market. That's what you got to do.
I think
But
you're. I think you're right. I do think you're right, because I've come. Obviously, I have a long career. I'm not just new to the world of working, so I have a long career of being very knowledgeable in my field and actually being an expert that people call me for information. So being on this other side where, you know, I listen to so many of you competent, successful individuals. Of course, I mean, you're like well-versed in your business. So you're right. I think that it's coming from a place of feeling like I don't know enough and therefore I don't know what to expect. So I think that's the truth. I think that's where it is.
it's
Yeah.
everybody, you know, when you're starting anything new. I mean, if you pulled me randomly on a stage somewhere and talking about some random topic and asking me questions, I might be nervous. But if you ask me about real estate sales, it's like asking me to walk down the street. I've been studying it every single day for 8 years. So it's natural. It's easy.
Right.
So yeah, just focus on education, focus on learning, focus on plugging in like you're doing now. And yeah, and then also another thing is setting small goals. If there should be never a day where you don't call somebody. So if one is too many, well, make sure you call one at least every single day. And you might be sick and whatever, but just do it.
I actually am doing it. I'm doing it, but it's painful. It's actually painful.
Yeah. And then also
I need Christina's old fashioned by the time I'm done with an hour.
Well, look, I put it this way too. You got to find your niche. Danielle's niche is not my niche. I would be sick texting people that I know and stuff like that I've worked with. It's just I just get frustrated. I want to find new people and I'm just like I don't know. I'd rather just reach out to them than deal with the older people. It's just for me. Like I said, so I found my niche. Danielle found her niche. And doesn't mean I can't do what she does and she can't do what I do, but you got to find your niche and then you can expand from there. But what's your thing? I mean, I could think of, like I was saying, somebody put in the chat, like, you know, who do we call now that cold calling's banned? Well, what's your niche? Do you want to call attorneys? Like I said, I have a list of attorneys that I could call and I just don't do it because it's not my niche and I just don't have the time. But you could call every single attorney in Queens and build a relationship with them. Maybe that's your niche. Maybe you work with investors. Maybe you, work, like I said, everybody in your phone. Maybe you, I don't know, put Facebook leads out and just talk to all the Facebook leads because you can get hundreds of those every month. You know, so there's whatever your niche is. You can't do everything, which is kind of good, right? So you just have to do one and get really good at that. But thank you for asking a question. Who else?
Everybody's shy.
Bring on the questions, guys. We
when
really
I speak and do things. I hate Christina's like, do you want to do a training? I'm like, me? Really? You know, everybody gets stage fright or that feeling or talking in front of somebody. It's just part of being human. You know, probably aside from Ron now, nobody ever just picks up the phone and is like, oh, great, I'm excited to call somebody. You know, we all get that feeling and you're going to find what works for you. You know, sometimes even me, I'm like, you know what? You know, in previous times when, you know, now you have to be careful with all these laws and things we're allowed to do or what we're not allowed to do. Sometimes I would just dedicate myself to calling one for sale by owner a day, just to get myself outside my comfort zone. And funny story, That one person I called that day, I'm sitting there and I'm like starting to get nervous. I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I called the guy. He had for sale by owner listed on Zillow. By the time I called him, he already listed with someone else. So I'm like, okay, great. Same thing. Every Friday, hey, how did the sale go? Hey, how are things going? Blah, blah, blah. A year went by. He called me 2 weeks ago. He's like, I have another property that I listed with an agent. And I'm like, oh, great. So you didn't even list with me this time. You listed with someone else. I'm glad to see you really cared about me there. So he started laughing. He's like, that's why I'm calling you. The apartment, small little co-op, has been on the market 6 months, no offers, no nothing. So the listing was expiring. He's like, all right, I'm finally going to give you the opportunity. I said, well, I clearly see you saved the best for last. So again, he started laughing. You kind of make it a fun conversation. Anyway, I listed the property. Within 3 days, I had an accepted offer and we were under contract. Who do you think he's going to call from now on? It's just those little things. So sometimes even just getting yourself, call one person, bring it up maybe to two, but then also have fun with it. If you're comfortable calling your sphere, you were so successful in what you kind of already did, use that data to call them and say, hey, I'm in real estate. I'm so excited to help people. Do you know anyone that's looking to buy or sell or even rent? When I first started, I did a lot of rentals, just make friends with people. I talk to people in Starbucks, the supermarket, whatever conversation, you just kind of throw it out there. You'll find what works and maybe try that tactic. Get yourself to call one person and then increase it. You never know who that person is going to be on the other end.
No, it's true. It's 100% right.
That was a
what
huge
else we have?
lesson for me.
Who else has questions? Come on, guys.
Mark's
Don't be
quiet
shy.
today. I'm surprised Mark's not saying anything.
Yeah, Mark, what do you got?
Mark
You bailed on it?
disappeared. He's
Hey,
done.
y'all. Danielle with the Queen Song team. How nice to see you two here.
Hey.
Nice.
Thanks for sharing your knowledge as always, constantly inspiring people. I would ask, so as we know, we have to get creative when it comes to staying in contact with people, whether it's past clients or even people that you're prospecting. What would you say between both of you? I suppose you can answer this separately. If you can give 3 different ideas of something unique that you send out to your groups, that like, I guess for the group, it helps to give them an ideas of like what different type of content that you could share with them, that you could share with these people to give them something of value.
Danielle, you can go first if you want.
Okay, so I guess my value I always bring again would be like the personalization, like reaching out to them. That's one thing that I do that I know separates me aside from other people, and that's a value proposition of coming across that I want to help them, that I'm here if they need something. What else can I think of? I mean, that's something that I really do a lot as far as like sending them different things. I don't know. I think that's one thing that Ron, do you really send out a lot of specific things? Like I did newsletters at some point, but I noticed a lot of people weren't reading them. I find for me, it works when I really just reach out to people.
Yeah, my value proposition is always just keeping in touch with people. Like,
right.
I feel like they're going to, and I'm going to over communicate with them. If they tell me to call in 2 months, I'm going to call in 5 weeks. Or if they tell me to call in a month, I'm going to call in 3 weeks. Or they tell me to call next week, I'm going to call them 5 times next week until I get in touch with them. My value proposition is always just over communicating, being there. So, I always look at it like I'm interviewing for the job. And who does somebody want to hire for a job? I want to hire the person that is just in my face all the time. The person that's calling me, leaving voicemails, texting me, and just so hungry, So I think that's my biggest thing that I try to do is do that. I have, I have constant contact where I throw them on there. If they have an email, I'll mail them my business card, and after I get in touch with them the first time. But I feel like there's no substitute for me just kind of keep checking in, asking if I can help them, checking in on their plans, how are they coming along, seeing if they want me to pop by, or just seeing if they're not ready yet, when should I check back, and just calling.
Yeah, I feel like that definitely happens. Even this year, one thing I did, instead of like usually I'll send out Christmas cards, I got like a little stamp that I was doing. Of course, now I have to actually get a company to do it because after a while you can only write so many cards. But This year, I actually had something that I made with Canva, which was like a card with pictures, but I sent it out via text message because with COVID, a lot of people either went to stay with family, you don't know who's home, you don't know what's going on. So that was another way that I got to reach out to people. And instead of thinking, did they get my card? Did they not? Because sometimes people don't call to say thank you or anything. They looked at the text message and it was like, oh, what a great photo I used from the Santa event that I had. So I feel like the same. It's always the reaching out. They know that you're someone that they can count on. And if they don't hear from you, now they're getting worried. Where's Ron? Where's Danielle? How come I haven't heard? That's the trend that you set, basically.
Yep. Thank you, Abigail, for asking a question. Who else?
That was a good one.
Yeah, come on, guys. This is for you guys. Oh, here we go. Ron and Danielle, what else besides staying in touch with past clients do you do to get the lead for the sellers? What else do you do, Danielle?
So one thing that I was implementing, I think I had told you guys, I have a lender partner of mine that started sending me leads. So he basically did the Zillow thing. He signed up and he takes care of it for me. Believe it or not, today I actually got a lead from Zillow, somebody that's looking to sell and purchase a house. So I'm meeting with them on Monday to get the listing and then help them to sell. There's another company called Ojo that, again, my lender partner took care of for me. So they send over leads as well. It's something I only started doing maybe the beginning of this month, but it definitely seems to be working for both buyer and seller leads. You never know what you're going to get. Other than that, I really need to try to marketing has to be consistent. Like I know, Ron, we were talking about the mailers before. I've sent them out, but you have to be consistent. You have to send them for 6 months. You have to. So besides the new Zillow and the Ojo thing that I'm trying, I feel like social media marketing has been great for me. I have about 1,500 authentic followers. And believe it or not, the content that I put out really seems to be reaching people. I did add a few things on a YouTube channel. Although I want to perfect it, it's still there that I have a YouTube channel. So when people search for you, your information still pops up. I feel like these are all different ways of marketing because you just never know. I finally signed up for a TikTok account. Although I can't lie, I have no clue how to work it. My son has helped me with 1 or 2 videos that I did. But again, it's another way of getting people to see you. Social media is huge these days. I'm telling you, you get a lot of business just from the internet. People you may have known since kindergarten, but you haven't spoke to in 20, 30 years, depending. They see what you're doing and they'll want you to help them with the sale of their house or their cousin's purchase. They automatically want to help you when they see that you're doing stuff.
Yep. And I did the class last week on building your database. So, I mean, for me, I'm lucky enough to have been doing this at a high level for a long time, where I have a very large database, probably over 1,000 people that I'm constantly in touch with. And, so if these people told me 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever, that they were going to eventually sell, I just keep in touch with them. At minimum, I'll call them every 3 months. And then as they get closer, I'll call them more frequently. So that's my main way. But, that takes time, obviously. So you just have to, be organized. You have to have your, CRM, whatever you're using, to constantly be filling new people in there. Like Danielle said, there's multiple ways you can do that, from referrals, from, different sources, whatever, there's just you're meeting people. And if anybody says they're going to sell ever, you throw them in the database, and then you just keep in touch with them, and then you get in the habit of making your calls every single day. And, it just becomes routine, and you're building up your people that know you, and then the people that want to engage with you. And then you get better at, kind of digging and finding out through asking questions who is going to do something. So, it takes a while, because selling is a big decision. When people want to sell, it's not something they just decide on a whim most of the time. Usually it's something they're planning out for a while. So that's why you just have to be in conversation with a lot of different people. And, whatever way you figure out to do that, that's going to be your strategy. But just talk to a lot of people every day. The more people you talk to, the better. And things are going to happen. It might take some time, but you're going to make progress.
Yeah, it's a repetitive thing. You have to do it consistently. You can't expect to make a phone call in one day. I have some clients that I've been working with for a year, 2 years, 6 months. You'll have some that will close right away, but it's just like a flower. You plant the seeds, and then eventually that's kind of how real estate works. You hustle in the beginning, then you start getting the repetitive business. You still continue generating the new business, but then it's like the flower that blooms, and now it's just a wildfire and everybody's starting to call you. But that's kind of how it is. So don't be afraid if you call someone today, like Ron says, put it in the database, or I throw it on my calendar. Sometimes, with if you have iPhone or any phone these days, it's really simple to say, hey Siri, remind me Tuesday, blah 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 time, call so and so. And then they're happy to continue hearing from you. That's all it is. You're gonna want to really try to do that a lot in the beginning, and you'll see it starts to pan out.
Somebody asked, how long do you think the restriction on cold calls will last? That I don't know.
We only knew.
But I'll tell you this, before the restrictions, no one cold called. So
Ron is the only one who was missing it during. Everyone else was like, I don't know, I have no idea.
No, I'm just saying, like, everyone's saying, don't focus on that. Focus on what you can do. And when they do lift it, you better all be taking advantage then, because, when we were allowed to cold call, no one did it. So, just figure out, get creative, put it that way, get creative. Like I said, you could easily get a list of attorneys. I always use that as an example because I think that could be something where, just do it. Call people, call professionals, like I said, how many contacts do you have in your phone? I have probably, 1,300 contacts in my phone. I don't talk to any of them. There's an abundance of ways to reach people. You just got to be a good marketer. You got to be systematic. You got to be consistent. These are all fundamentals. The list of people you call is less important than what you're actually doing on a daily basis, the activities you're in, your schedule, how organized you are. You got to just find a way, whether it's door knocking, like I said, calling people, buying leads, whatever it is. You're starting a business, so you got to figure it out. But it's really all boils down to the fundamentals of finding the people through lead generation and then following up with them systematically over the long term. Like Danielle said, nothing's going to happen immediately. That's just not how life works. That's not how this business works. If there's a lot of immediate business, then it might be easy. I don't know. But I think what separates people that are successful versus not successful is they have a long-term mentality. You always have to have a long-term mentality, treat it like a business. And, most businesses run at a loss for a year or two. That's going to be your real estate business when you first start. No one crushes it right out the gate. Maybe a few people, not me. I closed my first deal the 12th month. The second year was a little bit better, but by the third and the fourth and the fifth, I started to get some momentum. So, stay positive, realize it's not an overnight fix. It's one of those things where it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of different skills. You have to have all your computer programs organized and ready to go. You have to know what you're going to say. You have to have your mindset right. You have to know who you're going to call. And this is all just stuff it takes a lot of energy and effort to get off the ground. But if you show up every day at 8 a.m. and push till 6 o'clock at night every day for the first, however long it takes, you're going to figure it out. You're going to try stuff. I don't know how many things I tried that didn't work. It doesn't matter. I found the things that did work and I worked them harder. And that's the key. You just want to experiment, always be experimenting, trying new things. The most successful people are the ones that fail the most. They're always trying stuff. They're seeing what works, what doesn't work. They're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. They're just the masters at moving forward from a failure to another failure to another failure. And then, oh, that works. Great. I'll take that. But then I'm going to keep going, keep making mistakes. That's the learning process.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything else?
All sorts of things, seeing what other realtors do. I do that a lot. I take a lot of notes from other realtors. If I see somebody doing something that I like, I'll implement it. I'll start using it, see if it works for me. If it doesn't, great. If not, what do I have to lose? You just keep doing something every single day. But like Ron said, you can't lose. If you're consistent and you do it every single day, it's going to work out for you no matter what.
Yeah. Door knock, get where do you live? Door knock the whole neighborhood. Grab some flyers from a lender for free and knock on every door in the neighborhood. Come up with a script, have your little pen and pad ready and just knock on the first door and say, hey, I'm a real estate agent. I'm just reaching out to the community. Here's a flyer. These are some of the recent sales in the area. And I just wanted to see, do you have any real estate plans coming up in the next 6 months to a year? I guarantee you'll get a yes. Knock on 100 doors. I guarantee one will say, yes, we have something coming up.
Hey
What
guys.
stops us? Go ahead. Hey, Geraldine.
Hey,
Yeah, we
it's
got a
Geraldine.
question.
I have a question. So it's kind of a three-part question. I don't know how to ask it, so I'm just gonna talk. Okay, so how do you focus on which leads to follow on? Like, how do you know which leads, even if they're cold, like who do you put your energy on? Because I know that there are people that may be cold leads because they have, let's say, an event happening 3 years from now. So they're worth keeping in touch with because you want to be in front of them when that time comes for them to move. But do you also focus on leads who are willing, who are ready and able but aren't willing to move? Like people who just need motivation, do you focus on like throughout time moving that needle closer to, getting them as hot leads? Do you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
No, it does make
Like, do
sense.
you work on people's motivation too on leads? Do you work on their motivation throughout time to get them to be hot, or do you only focus on working with people who will have a life-changing event that will definitely make a move in the future?
I mean, for me personally, yeah, I've had a lot of clients that I've had to physically set up a game plan. Okay, this is what we're going to do. Okay, you're not ready to sell today. What do we need to do to get you ready to sell? Is it, oh, well, I'm waiting for my kids to finish school, or I need to wait for the summer. If it's a buyer, okay, I don't have enough money right now. Okay, listen, the lender and I come up with a plan. This is how much money you need to save. This is what you need to do. And then you just follow up with them. Same thing I usually do on a Friday. I'll text everyone, hey, happy Friday. I hope you have a good weekend. Not just somebody who I know is going to sell today or buy tomorrow. Just keeping in touch with everybody and being top of mind. Sometimes you have to know that not everyone is going to be ready out of the gate. You may need to come up with a plan, but when that plan, comes to fruition and they're ready, you want to be the one standing there waving, saying, hi, I'm waiting for you, things like that. Ron, do you feel like you do the same thing?
Yeah, I have a lot of good thoughts on this one. So motivation, you have to find out their motivation, and you have to ask a lot of questions to really find it out. Now, you're not going to motivate somebody by following up with them and over following up with them. You can't do that. People are internally motivated, but they could get more motivated or get less motivated. So, you really have to, your time is the only commodity that you have in this business. So that being said, if you get the sense that they're not motivated, you really can't put a lot of time into them, because then you're going to be spinning your wheels and you're going to become more frustrated. Now, if they have a motivation, but there's a reason why they have to wait. Oh, I'm retiring in next January, I can't do anything then. Great. You have a motivation. You're just not ready yet. But if they just don't have a motivation, oh, I don't really want to sell. You can keep in touch with me, but I'm probably not going to sell. I don't, then you'll be wasting your time to keep in touch with them. So that would be my thing. You have to really get good at your scripts. You have to get really good at diving into a conversation with somebody, really, I've been talking about this a little bit with a few people, where you can't just take their surface level answers. You have to dig 2 and 3 levels deep to try to find out what they are really looking to accomplish. What is their true motivation? Not that the fact that they want to move, what's the reason they want to move? And what's stopping them from doing it now? What's the reason they're waiting? You have to really dive in and dig. Once again, because you don't want to waste time on somebody. If they say, well, we're just not ready yet, call me back in 3 months, and they tell you that every single time, they might never do something. I just got off the phone with a guy, and he's told me 7 years ago he was going to sell. And I got in touch with him again, and he said, yeah, I might sell. And he had the same story 7 years later, so it happens. So my point is, be very, very careful with your time. But that being said, you have to realize that there's going to be a very small majority of the people that are ready to do something now. Most of them are going to be a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, a year, but we want to make sure that they actually have a motivation, a reason for waiting. And like Danielle said, you could also work with them. You could put a plan in place for them. Hey, you're not ready yet, but maybe you need to save some money for your down payment. Here's a lender. I'll call back in 3 months, see if you saved money, and then reference the conversation you had.
Yeah.
I think that it answered some of it, but I mean, that was a lot we threw at you. So
No, that was good.
He's like, wait a minute.
Well,
It's
I
a
only asked
person.
because I only asked because there are some leads that I come across, and I feel like for the most part they have a hard time just saying no, leave me alone. So they throw you through this like entire, like they lead you on to continue following up, and then it's like they ghost on you. Then it's like, oh hey, sorry, I had a busy week. But they want you to keep following up because maybe they want attention. I don't know what it is, but I just want to know. I want to know if maybe I'm just not trying hard enough, or I'm giving up too early. But I guess the second part of my question, because there is a second part, is so like when you guys come across these leads who, like you're saying, Ron, for example, to dig a little deeper to those that could potentially have a motivation, for those that tell you straight up, like, no, I don't think so. Like, let's say like, I don't think so, which is vague, like there's some gray area there. Do you stop there and then move on to the next lead? Or do you say, oh, well, why don't you think so? Like, do you continue digging, or do you take it at face value and move on?
I mean, I would say for me personally, in terms of the digging, I would just say I mean, obviously it depends on the lead, the situation, the previous conversation, everything all in one. But, if it's a seller, I would say, okay, you don't think so. Is there a reason why you might consider doing something maybe in the next 6 months to a year? So they might say they're not ready yet, but they might do something in a year, and that's fine. If they don't think so, I would also say maybe, okay, I'm just curious, like, I mean, you can't, like I said, motivate somebody, but I do dig and say, okay, what's the reason you changed your mind? What's the reason you no longer want to purchase? Or what's the reason that you no longer want to sell? I just kind of try to find out where they're at. Like, what's the reason you decided not to buy? What's the reason you decided not to sell? I try to dig a little bit into the reasoning, and then they might say, well, we decided just to stay, we're not doing it, or we decided we're not going to buy because we spoke with a lender, we don't have the down payment, whatever. And then you could kind of assess whether they really are not going to do anything or that they might do something in the future. If you get a sense that they might do something in the future, I would check back. But if it's a definite no for whatever reason, like, oh, we were going to move out of state, but no, we got a job locally, we totally changed our plan. And then another thing I'll say to you, with them leading you on, they will sometimes, so you really have to kind of hit the nail on the head. And like I always say, the best form of confrontation is a question. So ask them a question. Okay, great. I've been in touch with you like for the last month a couple of times, and you're kind of really not making any progress. I don't want to keep bugging you. So do you think you are going to do something? And I don't want to waste your time by keep following up. So I kind of make it about them. Like, I don't want to bug you. I don't want to waste your time. Just tell me the truth.
Right.
And sometimes that works too.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
No problem. Did you have anything to add to that, Danielle? Or?
No, yeah. I mean, it really just depends on the person, it really all depends on their situation. Like, for instance, sometimes I'll have buyers that I can tell that they're just not overly ready, and I'm not going to waste my time taking people out like that. Sometimes I'll put them like on an automatic lead search where every morning they'll get leads from me, but it's automatic. I input it one time. I have about 20 people right now that have been getting leads from me for the last year. They'll look at it, if they call, great. If not, sometimes they do. If it's a seller, sometimes I'll just kind of back off a little bit, but I still tend to follow up with people. And believe it or not, I've had people that weren't selling, but they referred me to a cousin or a family member that was doing something just because I kept following up or just said hello. You do have to read people and know when to invest your time. I've had a lot of people that I kind of pulled back from and maybe didn't call so often. You have to see how it is. Time is valuable. You tend to put the people that are serious ahead, and trickle down from the others. You're not going to give your all to somebody, like Ron said, that's maybe leading you on a little bit, but you may not want to forget about them. You can call every so often or shoot a text, something like that, just to let them know that you're still there. But kind of pull away a little bit, and sometimes people will come back to you or they won't. It's kind of like dating. Sometimes you find the right person, sometimes you forget about the others. We take this business too seriously, I think. Sometimes it's like you're always so nervous, you don't know what to do. You'll find the right answers in the conversation, and you'll know when it's time to cut somebody off ultimately, really.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I
Thank
agree
you.
100%. Yeah, you're
Thanks so much.
investing your time. I love what you said there. And I always say it's an art, it's not a science. This
No.
business is an art. It's not, there's no like one systematic, scientific way to make money.
No.
It's like you gotta feel it out. You gotta feel out the person on the other end, be empathetic, be understanding, be curious, ask a lot of questions, have great tonality, just trying to feel them out, develop some rapport with them, let them, reveal themselves or what their intentions are, provide some value, things of that nature.
Yeah.
But I hope that helps. So somebody asked the question, how do you deal with clients who will only work with you if you lower your commission? I always say commission is a business decision, right? And you got to run your business how you want to run your business. There are some agents that will do it for very low commissions. Some agents will, not want to lower their commission much at all. Me personally, I really don't like lowering my commission that low. I'm not really a fan of that. I'll walk away sometimes. But when I first started, I would be more inclined to take the deal just because, I need the experience and, it is what it is. So once again, it's your business. I would say shoot for the stars, hold yourself in high regard, sell yourself, as I mentioned earlier, on your value, and, push for as high as you can, because you have to really be a business person when it comes to commission. And you got to realize, all right, well, I'm taking it at this. Sorry, Shamir's making faces at me. So you have to be a business person. You have to analyze what you're going to walk away with at the end of the day, right? Because you have expenses, you're investing your time, you're co-broking, you're having a split with the office, you have marketing expenses, your time is valuable. So take all these factors into consideration when you're agreeing on a commission, and also role play and practice, how to, push back. Some people want to say, can you do it for less? Don't automatically say no. Yes. Say, oh, no, well, I can't really. This is how we do it. And, so all you have to do is sign the paperwork and let's move forward. And sometimes that's good enough. But, that's pretty much how I handle it. But like I said, once again, it's an art. It's not a science. Everybody you're dealing with is different. Some people will, will you tell them 6%, they ask for a reduced commission, you say no, and they just go for it. Sometimes they ask for a reduced commission, you say something, and then they'll say, all right, well, we're going to interview other agents, and then you got to make a decision. That's what I stand, but everyone does it differently. What about you, Danielle?
I feel kind of the same way. I mean, obviously, you always want to shoot for the highest commission. Usually, when I'm discussing commission, before we even get to the commission part, I'm already explaining to them, kind of how a lot of agents work. Are you going to get an agent that's going to take a picture on the cell phone? Are you getting a floor plan? Are you getting a video tour? Is the agent going to do any marketing? And then you kind of are already letting them know that they're shooting, basically you shoot yourself in the foot. You want a discount agent, you're going to get a discount sale price. Are you really going to attract the kind of buyers that it takes to get an over asking or a great offer? Of course not, because the photos are terrible or there's no marketing involved. So, you kind of feel out the conversation to see, are they going to just go with what you're saying? How low are they willing, how low do they want to reduce the commission? And then kind of letting them know, listen, this is how I work. I can't speak for other agents, but I'm not using my cell phone. I have to hire a photographer and go through the list with them. By me attracting more buyers and spending the money on the photographer and doing all these things, I'm actually netting you more money. Is it worth it to pay a fair commission to a buyer's agent? If you were the buyer's agent and you're looking online for your client and you see a 1% commission or a 2 or 3% commission, who are you going to bring your buyer to see? And automatically they're like, oh, well, of course, I'm going to go for the highest commission. I said, okay, well, do you want an agent to skip your property, or do you want the agent to bring their client? It's up to you. How long do you want your house to sit on the market? At that point, they may say, okay, whatever you say. They may ask you to just reduce a half a point, but at the end of the day, you don't work for free either. So you just have to feel out, like Ron said, and you see what you want to do. But 9 out of 10 times, if you start to try to tell them those things, they will work with you a little bit. You have to make them see that there's value. It's not them just paying you. It's them doing what they need to do to market the property accordingly and get the best price. Isn't that what you want? The most amount of money?
Yeah, there's a couple of tactics. Yeah, you can go by how much are they going to net it at the end of the day? Like, what's an extra percent? It's like, if it's a $800,000 property, it's $8,000, big deal. We're gonna do the marketing to make sure you're happy with that. We're gonna squeeze the buyer for the extra money. We're gonna do everything we have to do so you're happy with the money you net in your pocket at the end of the day. And also explaining the commission sometimes. Hey, look, I don't get the whole thing. First of all, we got to offer out a percentage on the MLS. So now we're not talking about the whole thing. We're talking about the little, the smaller portion that I get. And then out of that, I got to market. I got to pay my office. I got to pay all my my fees and everything like that, and stuff like that. So if you explain it in different ways, they start to understand where the commission goes. But it's one of those things. It's like everything else in this business. It's practice, coming up with a strategy, and just trying it out. And you're going to learn through experience. But don't like I said, hold yourself to a higher standard. Always push for a little bit higher, because you deserve it. And if you don't believe you deserve it, then that's one thing. But I mean, sell yourself on believing you deserve that extra commission, because you're going to do an amazing job. And I know for me, like, when I take a higher commission and say it's one of those problem listings that I'm working my butt off for, I'm like, whatever, I don't mind, because they honored me by paying me a good commission. But when they try to chew me down and I took it anyway because I wanted it, and it's just like, I'm a little bit less inclined, I'm just frustrated more. So I know that they're going to get the best of me if they honor me and compensate me well, because I deserve it. We all deserve it. We all work hard. So that's just one thing I got. And then we have another question. What do you use to send auto leads to your buyers? I mean, I have a system called FirePoint that we pay for. I don't know what Danielle uses, but I mean, I think somebody mentioned Prospect Search. You could definitely do that as well.
That on
the
the
new
MLS.
listings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I use that as well, actually. Where what you can do is just set up a search and say somebody's looking for 2 families in Glendale from 800 to 1 million. You can just set that up, and automatically every morning you'll get an email. This is how I do it. You can do it in any different way, but I'll get an email with the 2 families that are listed in Glendale, and then I'll just forward it on to them and say, hey, I know you were looking for a 2-family in Glendale. This one just came on the market. Would you like to set up a showing for whenever you're available? And see what they say.
Yeah, that's exactly how I usually do it. And it makes it easy. And then you keep a list of the search and everybody's happy, and you make the most of your time.
So we've got about 5 minutes till 1. We're going to probably wrap this up soon. Any last questions or thoughts or anything you want us to go into? Don't be shy. No? Okay. Like, I'm assuming we did an amazing job then, Danielle, right?
Well, I always learn so much from you, Ron. So I'm sure we did. And I'm glad you guys were able to jump on. And if you ever need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. Ron and I are always around if you want to reach out, if you have a question. But yeah, thank you, Ron, for joining today. And we'll see you guys soon.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Have a good day.
Bye. You too.
Bye.
Bye.